Welcome to the Allelys Podcast, where we take you inside the people, the projects and the thinking behind one of the UK's leading specialist transport and heavy lift businesses. In this series, we're going to explore what drives Allelys forward, how the business is evolving and what excellence delivered really means in practice. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Allelys Podcast. If you'd like to learn more, explore their services or keep up with their latest projects and updates, head over to their website and find them on social media. On this episode, I am joined by Nathan Clarke, Head of Commercial. How are we doing?
Very well, thanks. Good morning.
I gather you've not been in post too long. I know you've been with the company a while, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've been with the company now coming up to just over 3 years, and I've been in post now for just coming up to 4 months. So, yeah, pretty fresh into it.
Excellent. So what was your background before you came to Allelys then?
So I've been in the industry for about 13 years. So in total, and previous to that, I was at another heavy lift and heavy transport business. And prior to that, I was in the military, so completely different.
Oh, interesting. Because we're going to chat to Rich, the managing director, on the next episode. I know he's got a military background as well, hasn't he?
That's correct. Yeah. We were in neighbouring units, so yeah, we're not supposed to like each other, but we do.
I was going to say there's always a little bit of rivalry between different military units and stuff like that, isn't there?
That's right. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, we were on the same wavelength in that respect.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about the commercial side of the business, because I know it's evolved quite a lot over the last few years, hasn't it?
Yeah. So the commercial department has changed quite dramatically since Richard and I started. Richard started within the business about 12 months before I turned up, and I think it's more about the perception of our business to the outside world. So Allelys have always been great at actually delivering the projects and the transport and all the heavy lift solutions, but it was more the outward sales and the marketing side of the business that I think everybody who was previously at the business would admit was probably not their strong point. So we've come from more, well, certainly Richard and I came from global leaders in this industry, and there was more focus on outward sales and marketing, and yeah, just kind of demonstrating the prowess of the business rather than kind of just focusing on getting it done. So we're obviously there's still a major focus on obviously delivering the projects, but we also want to demonstrate to the wider audience what we've done or what we can do and how we go about it.
And you kind of brought that all together with excellence delivered. That's kind of your big thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So that is our new. Well, I say new again. It's what we're expressing outwards to our customers and stakeholders, but it's also an internal DNA for the business. It's something that we're focusing on internally first of all as our core, and then yeah, of course we want to make sure we demonstrate that externally to customers and delivery partners.
It's a big statement, isn't it? Excellence delivered. Yeah, how do you actually kind of live that in practice?
So for the commercial team, for me, that means a number of things. So firstly, we don't just sell, transport. We sell, it's a conceptual sell for us. So people come to us because we know the project locations, we know the routes to site, and then of course it's the technical element around that. And I think there's a trust in that to make sure that we're selling the correct concept. It's not always about price. It's more about finding the optimal solution. Now that obviously price is encompassed within that, but it's also the different parts of that multimodal transport solution that we're providing that our customers need to have trust in, that we know that we're selecting either the right equipment, the right route, the right concept. So that is that is where the excellence comes from us. It's not just here's a price for a trailer for X amount of days, or here's a crane for a day at this radius. It's combining all of that to give the turnkey solution. So that's kind of the first element is the trust in the concept. And then for me, certainly since being in this new role, I've really tried to drill down with the team about being customer facing. Now I know that sounds possibly like something obvious within a sales role, but for me, we can often find ourselves, and I don't think it's just our business, but you can often find yourself tied to your desk just pumping out quotes. And I'm really keen for us to get in front of customers, go and have those coffees, sit down, give the business presentation, tell them where Allelys is now compared to where we were before. We've got a whole new equipment fleet. We've brought in a lot of equipment over the last few years and a lot of new people and new processes and the excellence delivered DNA that we're bringing through. And we need to sit down in front of people and explain the added value and what sets us apart from the competition.
I mean, you can see all this huge equipment on the YouTube channel at the moment, which, you know, it's incredibly impressive watching some of the projects that you've worked on. From what you've said then, excellence delivered, is it more about kind of building those deeper relationships with customers then a little bit?
Yeah, so so one of the three pillars is accountability. So we want to be able to stand tall and proud and say that we've offered the best solution. And I'll probably, somebody will curse me for saying this, especially being in the commercial department, but we don't always want to be the cheapest. We want to give a quality service, an excellent service, at a very high standard, safely, and to perform it to the best of our abilities. Now, if that means costing slightly more than our competitors or more than our customers may have originally budgeted, then we're quite comfortable with that, and we stand by. Of course, we'll always know that, you know, cash is at the top of people's agenda, but there is more to that, and that's why again I'm really encouraging my team. They don't need much encouragement, but I'm like, one of the things at the top of my agenda is to push the team to go out and make sure that they express these USPs, that what we're bringing to the party is more than just a cheap price. And I think you're probably going to come on to it later, but so I'm stealing your thunder. Sorry, Ed.
That's all right.
But that's the way the market's going as well. It's less about price at the moment, and it's more about capacity. So the power and transmission and distribution market sector's gone through the roof, and there's this race to net zero that the UK and most of the rest of the world are racing towards is has got a real demand on the logistics chain, and we form a huge part of that, especially at the heavier end of the industry. So availability and capacity is now top of people's priority list, closely followed by price.
Interesting. Okay. I was going to ask about where you sort of sit in the industry compared to competitors and things like that.
Yeah, so we kind of sit in somewhat of a middle ground. So we have competitors that are working on the global scale, and as I mentioned earlier, myself and Richard and a number of our colleagues came from some of those businesses. So we bring some real experience and positive outlooks or different outlooks from those businesses. And then Allelys was formed originally as a solely a transport business, and then developed into a project solutions business. So we're currently sat. We're the UK's market leader in specialist transport and heavy lift for the UK business in Ireland. There are there are competitors at the higher end and the global side of that, and then we obviously have our UK competitors. But I think we sit comfortably at the top within the UK, and we are nipping at the heels of of our global competitors, and obviously we're looking to broaden our horizons in terms of outside of the UK and Ireland, and we've carried out projects outside of the UK and Europe and things like that, but more on a support basis for other partners.
Oh, so you'd like to be leading those projects yourself? I guess that's the thing.
Yeah, I think there's no secret. We certainly want to expand, and we know it won't happen overnight, and we're not going to rush into anything. It would be foolish of us to do that. We're getting a real good foothold within the UK market, and we're dominating that. And I think again it'd be foolish to rush into anything, and we'd need to make sure that the region or the country or wherever it may be was the right fit for us. And we'd have partners or people that we can trust within those countries to help us and assist with that. I mean, we've got good ties in with people that we used to work with in other businesses as well that have moved around, maybe working for freight forwarders or other companies. So we've got a real good network out there as well that could help with that. But yeah, no firm plans at the moment. But yeah, it's in the mix. It's certainly on the up on the board of things to do.
I guess then excellence delivered, that's just kind of the starting point almost by the sound of things.
Yeah, so we've always had the mindset and the ethos around what excellence delivers means to us as a business. But it's actually just putting it down on paper, and it's. I mean, we've got it on the new website that should be released literally in the next few days. But we say it's not just a claim. We're not just saying it. We need to live and breathe it, and that's something that we're really drilling down within. As I said earlier, within the business, it's not just a marketing ploy. We're having sometimes some quite difficult conversations internally, and we need to challenge each other, and we need to be accountable, as I said, because another one of the pillars that we talked about for excellence delivered is precision. So if things aren't being done properly and precisely, then we need to accept that people within the business can challenge us on that, and it's been open enough to accept criticism or constructive criticism, and then equally your colleague or peer should accept the same. And you're only ever going to get better if we look at problems or challenges and face them head on, and that's how you become better, and that's how we plan to become excellent or continue to be excellent.
So you've mentioned people in terms of how they do. I mean, you've just thrown the website in there as well, which obviously you've got the new one coming.
Yeah.
It's not just the website. There are lots of new brochures. In fact, it's kind of the whole look, really, isn't it, the company, I guess?
Yeah, so again, we know that a brand or colours or the logo or a nice new website, that's not the be-all and end-all. Again, I'll reiterate, we want to do what we do at the coalface, if you like, with the vehicles, with the people on the ground, with the cranes, with the heavy lift systems. We need to make sure that is working and delivering excellence.
Yes,
we need to make sure that's delivering first and foremost, because you can have the best looking website ever, but if you're not delivering on the ground, then it all falls apart. Sure. But yeah, you are right. We've got a whole new website. We've got a whole new brand. New workwear apparel, new website, new brochures. We're attending Breakbulk Europe this year in June, and we've got a new stand there. We're in the new hall with a lot of the big logistics players. So yeah, just an overhaul really. We're now kind of leapfrogging into that next stage. Hence the reason why there's been a lot of moves and a lot of changes within the organisation in terms of managing director. Obviously, David Allelys moved aside into a chairman position, and Richard's moved into managing director, and that organisational chart's now looking really strong, and a lot of the key players that we brought on board are kind of world class in terms of what they do. And yeah, so across the board, it's looking great. It's looking really positive, and we're moving forward, and with confidence that we can deliver. Again, I keep giving the buzzword. It's running through my veins. You've already.
You're living it.
Yeah, I'm living it. I'm living it. Yeah, but I believe it. I believe it. And I think you've got to. And it's difficult to sell something if you don't believe in it. But I truly believe in it, and it's an evolution. So. We're not sitting here saying we're excellent all the time, but what we do want is that feedback loop to say if we do deliver something poorly or not quite how we wanted it to, that we analyse that, we put it back into the chain, understand where the lessons can be learned, find out what the root cause analysis is, and then adapt the processes or find out if one of the processes has failed, and then bring it back in. And it's just that constant analysing of the business, which again has somewhat been there before, but let's not beat around the bush. Not everybody's perfect, and there's always opportunities to constantly improve. And I think that's that constant improvement and that feedback loop that we're really homing in on now, and it's changing the culture of the business.
Is that kind of, I mean, we talked a little bit about how the perhaps expectations have changed from customers, but what you've done then, is that kind of a reaction to that? Because I know you said price is still a big part of,
Yeah.
obviously, when you're talking to customers, but it's not necessarily the most important part now.
Yeah, so over the past few years, we've had a number of things happen. So we've had some new players come into the market or coming into the market. We've had some players leaving the market, but at the same time, the demand's gone through the roof. So we've sat back and thought, right, how do we really separate ourselves from our competitors?
Yeah.
Now, this is no disrespect to our competitors. You know, they're good and they're also doing a great job. You know, and we have a mutual respect for any competitors, but we really need to look internally rather than externally. You know, we're not about putting down our competitors. We're about elevating ourselves. And we thought, right, how do we go about this? How do we become better? How do we set ourselves apart from everyone else? And sometimes you've got to look in the mirror and say, right, what can we improve on? What can we do better? And that's what we've done. And by doing that, we've highlighted some gaps that we need to fill, and we've also highlighted some real strong points that we need to elevate and promote. Which is, again, it comes down to the marketing element, the website, and things like that, just to really push the narrative of what we're doing. As I said earlier, I think a lot of people used to think as Allelys as just a haulage company.
Yeah. Okay.
So a couple of years back, we did a bit of a marketing drive to try and explain what the business does outside of haulage, the wider turnkey logistics solution. But I think over the last couple of years, I think a lot of our customers have probably, we've realised, I think a lot of the customers have realised that they now know a lot of the things that we do. So we're kind of going away from explaining all the nuts and bolts, and we're kind of explaining how the business is working behind the scenes. And that's possibly, well, I say possibly, it's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this podcast, because we want people to see the people behind it, the mechanisms, the ethos, and things like that. Just to, you know, so it's not, again, coming back to, it's not just a claim. There's actually some real thought behind it.
Because there is that thing, isn't it? It's very easy to kind of come up with some kind of slogan, stick it on a wall, and then go, well, we'll never really talk about that. But actually transferring that into living it in everything you do, that's quite hard, isn't it, sometimes?
Yeah, so I think most companies have got like business values and things like that on the website, and they're all well and good, but you've got to, like I say, you've got to live and breathe them. And I think that, you know, we're doing a lot of things that customers won't see, actually. So we're going to be running our own training programs, leadership programs for middle managers and senior managers. And it's just that ever improving cycle, because if we've got senior managers, middle managers leading and mentoring the people below them, there's going to be a better output there. And yeah, it's all on this strap line, but the three pillars of excellence delivered, they really underpin everything that we do. So, and if you keep bringing everybody back to that, to say, okay, what I did there was that, did I deliver excellence in, you know, whatever it may be? If it's writing an email, was it polite enough? Was it signed off correctly? You know, did I do a podcast? Did I do myself justice? Who knows?
Sure.
But yeah, no, it's questioning everything you do every time you go out of the door. Do I look smart? And it sounds silly, but it's doing the little things right. You know, in the military, you used to have a phrase that, you know, if you left a button undone, you know, first a button, next it will be a submarine hatch. You know, it's getting the small things right, and then the bigger things will follow. So it's everything across the board. The way we portray ourselves, even on LinkedIn, you know, it's everything, absolutely everything. Everything needs to be excellent, and then hopefully that develops and kind of grows into a culture.
And that's the thing. It's interesting you mentioned culture, because that can be really hard to kind of change that culture, especially on a long established business as well. Has it been kind of a soft move towards that, or have you kind of almost done a hard stop towards it?
You've got to start somewhere. So the Excellence Delivered program, shall we call it, only really started at the beginning of this year. But it's not just we press a green button and expect everything to be amazing.
Sure.
You know, there's a lot of things in progress that may take years, really. I mean, we're bringing in a new ERP type system, new CRM system, and they take 18 months, sometimes 2 years to fully roll out, iron out all the creases, etc. And with that new ERP system comes a load of processes and procedures that all different departments need to buy into. So it hasn't been a hard start. Well, yes, it's been a hard start.
Yeah, sure.
But we haven't kind of hard stopped everything else, because we do understand that people are human, and you can't just make sure everybody's on the ball like day one. We need to give everybody a fighting chance. And again, as I mentioned before, the managers are only human as well. They've got to go through, they've got to kind of sharpen up a bit, and it's got to roll down. We can't just be banging the table and making sure those out on the ground or whatever are doing it. We've got to lead by example as well. And I'm big about that. And again, leads back to the military side and my experience there. You've got to lead from the front. You've got to, it's what you do when nobody's watching, and doing the right thing at the right time.
Interesting. Okay. So, I mean, in terms of the projects you're taking on, I think you talked a little bit about how there's been an evolution in perhaps the industry in terms of what the customer wants.
Yeah.
Also explaining a lot more about how you're not just necessarily a logistics company. Are you looking at different projects? Are you bringing on kind of different equipment to make sure that happens, or? Yeah.
So first thing, so it's probably worthwhile saying that with the drive to net zero, and we're not just power transmission distribution. We do civils, we do oil and gas. We've got a huge influence on the rail market sector, reels, things like that. But pretty much half of our revenue and our kind of daily bread maker, if you like, is the power transmission and distribution market sector, and that is going through the roof because the network within the UK needs bolstering massively due to the demands on power, and then how that power is used. So got a lot of best sites to starting up, so a lot of battery storage, and then synchronous condenser or rotating plant, which probably means nothing to you, Ed. It doesn't mean a huge amount to me. I don't know the finer details of the technology, but it basically balances. It balances the way energy is put through the network, and obviously the batteries are where the energy gets stored. Now, because of the way the world is modernising, electric cars, the introduction or the boost in AI, there's a lot of demand for data centres, and there's a lot of demand for energy, kind of switch on and off energy. And those synchronous condensers take the peaks out of the way the energy is transmitted, and so therefore we've seen a lot of projects come from those market sectors. So a lot of large engines going into some data centers, and then a lot of bolstering of the network, which has had a huge demand and a requirement for a lot of transformers. So to answer your question, what that means is there's a huge spike in demand for our large girder frame trailers,
right?
And we've now purchased and acquired up to 10 girder frame trailers now. So we're the market leader in certainly in the UK, but I'm pretty sure globally in terms of how many girder frame trailers we're running from one business. And what that allows us to do is that each weight category or bracket, it means that we've got resilience in there in case we get some project overrun, or even if we have a technical issue with one of the trailers, we've got backup in each weight category. And what that's allowing us to do is it's also allowing us to move multiple units per week or per weekend. So as we mentioned earlier, there's a huge draw on capacity, and we're able to deliver on that, really. So yeah, it's great. And then we're also investing, I can't say too much on this, but we're investing in more strategic pieces of equipment such as cranes, and then we've got focus on the civils market as well now, and we're really cracking into that. So it's going really well. But again, we don't want to kind of oversell and underdeliver. We want to make sure we're really hitting the right levels of service delivery.
I was going to ask about the future. It sounds like it's quite secretive a little bit at the moment, maybe. I know you've got some big investments coming, but let's talk about how the future's looking. And I know in terms of change of culture, that's an ongoing process in terms of excellence delivered. But you've got some big stuff coming up. I mean, we should talk about Breakbulk Europe 2026. What's that all about to start with?
So it's a huge logistics convention. Basically, you've got freight forwarders, shipping companies, obviously heavy lift and transport providers, and everybody gets together in Rotterdam most of the week. There's a lot of conversations, a few beers.
I was going to say there will be a few beers.
A couple of beers, few steaks. But no, the main aim is to catch up. I wouldn't say there's many, there's not many deals done there. That's not the real reason. I mean, don't get me wrong, we do catch up and talk about specific projects and contracts, but it's a real good hub to get involved and speak to all your customers from all over the world. I mean, it is Breakbulk Europe, but you do get it's not just European companies. You do get global stakeholders attending, and it's just a great place to catch up with customers and talk about projects in the future, talk about projects in the past. And then, we're a people business, and it's just good to catch up, shake hands, have a coffee or one of those beers that I mentioned. And we do have a draft pump of ale on our stand, so come along and
wow, I can imagine people are flocking to come and meet you then in that case.
I don't pull the best beer, but I do I shake a good hand.
What's exactly on draft then? What are we looking at?
It's a local tipple, actually, Purity.
Okay.
So that's been the case for the last few years. Yeah, so it's a good. Yeah, some of the Europeans aren't digging it because it's got no bubbles in it, but it's a good real ale.
Excellent. And are we going pints or European measures?
I think we were a European measures.
European measures, because that's what when you go to Rotterdam, you ask for a beer, and they're like, "I'll have a pint of." They're like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, you need a flake in the top. Yeah.
You do, yeah, absolutely. Interesting. Okay, so in terms of future events, you've got that to look forward to. Are there any other things that you kind of can share at the moment? Because I know some of these plans.
Yeah, events wise, we are attending the Esters in, I think that's in the Netherlands next month. We always attend the Heavy Lift Awards in London in October, where we're often put forward for a few nominations. In terms of the new things that are happening within the business, again, I can't really say a huge amount. It's not I'm trying to be too secretive, but it's just not right and proper, not the right time. But yeah, we've got a few new people coming into the business in quite strategic positions, which is going to be good, and they're fairly well-known names within the industry. That, don't get me wrong, they're not famous, but they'll be well-known names, and they're great for our business, and it's really catapulting us forward. So and then more equipment, new office coming. I'm based in our Stoke-on-Trent office. We've just purchased a new office in Stafford, which is a much bigger location. It's actually quite a strategic location next to a number of our customers and partners. So, yeah, it's all looking good. And then our head office is expanding. So we've got the general haulage department are moving across the road in a large new development there. There's a purpose-built yard. Yeah, things are moving forward, and then we'll eventually develop the main head office at Studley. So all good.
Some big plans, exciting times then, really.
Yeah, it is. Richard's got a lot on his shoulders.
He has,
I'm right behind him. No, I'm right by his side to support on those things. But it's great. It's great, and I must say it's worthwhile saying we've spoken about Richard, but David Allelys and the Allelys family are still firmly here, and I've got a massive input within the business, and I don't think they'll ever go away, and I don't think anybody particularly wants to. At the core of the business, although we're developing and turning into a real big player, we are still a family business, and there's huge benefits to that. We don't want to become a massive corporate where we can't make a decision without putting it through 100 people and taking weeks on end. We need to be, although we want to really be proactive, we also want to remain reactive as well, and offer that flexibility and that kind of family business feel.
So finding that sweet spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there is a merry dance to be done to try and find that sweet spot. But I think we've got, as I say, I think I'm very confident we've got the right people around us and within the different positions within the business to find that sweet spot. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, as I say, a lot of it you can't talk about now, but hopefully we'll learn about it on future episodes of the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we're really keen on doing that. We're going to spoiler alert. We're gonna bring in some different people throughout the business in the next few episodes, from the different departments, project management, operations, engineering, and even some guys from off the ground. Supervisors and operators. So yeah, you'll get a wide range of information from us for sure.
Excellent, and hopefully you'll pop up on another episode and be able to tell us some of these secretive projects.
Yeah, potentially. I have to see how the edits go, but yeah, maybe.
Well, Nathan, thanks for your time today.
No worries. Thank you very much.